Desert is a place full of sand. It's coarse, rough, irritating, and gets everywhere. Yes, I'm talking about the desert biome in Terraria. Now, this is not my first review of the game. In fact, in my last few videos, I learned what I could really do to analyze this game for what it is and keep track of this game specifically while not going off on a tangent, which I did last time. We can separate the desert into two categories. Each one is like a little world of their own. The surface is a lot more tame in comparison, so let's start there. It mostly consists of sand with a few cacti sprinkled here and there. However, the best part is there's a variation for the sand and cacti that can vary depending on the hollow or the world's evil. For a world biome to be considered a desert, there needs to be at least 1,500 blocks of sand, or 1,000 on the 3DS. Some of you might have actually noticed that the heat of an area can actually warp the look of the blocks in the background. This is because of heat distortion. This is a real thing that exists in the real world and hot climates. And you've probably seen it yourself, where a lot of heat from the sun is radiated, but this can also happen with not the sun as well. If you've noticed, while different variants of cacti exist, you can only obtain the green cactus when using an axe. The developer's choice for this was most likely because there would be much more tool and armor sets required, although there are variants for the trees including tools and armor. Also, an acorn will become a cactus in the desert, not a palm tree. For that, you will need to be in the oasis, which is a different biome but similar. When a wind speed of 30 miles per hour is reached in the desert, a sandstorm will occur. These things are the worst. It is an event that only happens in the desert. The mighty wind debuff will really slow you down, your character, and it's a bitch. But not to the enemies, so it makes trying to defeat them a pain in the ass. The best thing to have is Swiftness Potion to help you get through the wind a little faster early on in your gameplay. One of the structures you will encounter is the pyramid. Well, actually not quite, because a lot of the times the structure doesn't even spawn, or they will spawn underneath the surface, to where it will be difficult to find the ones that do spawn. They even more rarely spawn overground, but the rewards you find are worth it. There's an entrance to the underground, however, other ways you can enter the underground and more conveniently are the chambers and pits, which mirror the evil entrance structures, while the corrupt is straight down versus the crimson zigzagging down in the same way. Now let's talk about the underground. To note, the underground is very different in many ways. It completely changes with its enemies and blocks as well, but of course it has to change with the sand because you would suffocate if it were not like this. The structure of the desert is oval shaped once revealing its entire area, while the cave and tunneling system is also round shaped. Actually, to note, in 1.3 versus 1.4, the underground desert area also became more elongated and offered more variety and challenge as well, and you'll get what I mean in a second. With the rolling cactus and the antlion eggs being 1.4 additional like booby traps, I'd argue that the underground desert is one of the hardest biomes in both pre-hard mode and hard mode. Due to these features, it's unpredictably strong in hard mode and pre-hard mode enemies. You can also find underground ruined cabins as well, with sandstone chests that contain desert-specific items, and here's a list. I think this would be also a good time to mention some of these items that you can get in this biome that you cannot find anywhere else. For primary items is a storm spear, which is like a trident that shoots lightning. Thunder Zapper is a magic staff that shoots lightning and uses 7 mana. Magic Conch is a magic mirror but sends you into the ocean instead of a spawn. Probably my favorite item is the Snake Charm, which summons a snake in a pod that acts like a controllable vertical rope that can go really high, in a nutshell. The Ancient Chisel increases mining speed by 25%, kind of like the potion, but lasts until it is no longer in your accessories, although it is much more rare, so the mining potion is probably more convenient, rarity-wise. Dune Rider's boots are like the Hermes boots, but allow for additional speed on the sand and sandstone blocks. The Bast statue, on the other hand, is a decorational furniture item and also increases defense by 5. A good alternative to Iron Skin or when fighting a boss, but not as convenient because there's only 5 health instead of 8 health increase. For secondary items is the desert minecart with this ancient pharaoh design to it and having a 1 in 15 chance of being obtained from sandstone chests. A 1 in 15 chance is common for a lot of other items as well. The encumbering stone prevents item pickup if it is anywhere in your inventory. Would have been super helpful for me early on, and I think most other people as well. You get what I mean, because we all fill up our inventories with shit that we don't actually need or want. Now for the finals part of this video, let's talk about the enemies you will encounter. First, surface, and then underground. Early on in your gameplay, one of the first desert enemies you will encounter is the vulture. Kind of an asshole because you mind your own business and then for no reason will come over and attack you. They eat dead things, I thought. Then there's an antlion. I almost call them Antlion because, you know, dyslexia, which is kind of like a sand cannon. It shoots sandball projectiles that target the player every 3.33 seconds. On the 3DS and old gen exists the albino Antlion, but it does pretty much the same function. That's about it for pre-hard mode surface enemies. There are 4 variants of the mummy, both evils of the hollow and regular mummy, that spawn in their respective infected or normal desert area upon hard mode. Well, actually, for the older versions of the game, there did exist the shadow mummy and spectral mummy, not to be confused with the updated mummies with different names. Some harmless critters you'll find are the scorpion and black scorpion. They're just 2 different variants of the same creature. I already mentioned that buried antlion. However, in the underground desert, there are a lot more variations of this insect. The antlion insect will spawn if you destroy an antlion egg, antlion swarmer, and giant antlion swarmers are flying variants of the same creature. The giant antlion is a larger version of the antlion and is stronger. The sand slime is a variant of the Biome class slime. It kind of looks like a biscuit. The hard mode enemies are, well, you know, tough. The basilisk will charge quickly at your character and has a huge knockback. However, a good way to defeat this enemy is having a ranged weapon like the mega shark, which has high speed and will quickly run down its health. The tomb crawler, which is a pretty cool name to put it simply, has the AI as the giant worm, but is also the pre-hard mode counterpart to the dune splicer. Also, the cool thing about these creatures is they also have a 1 in 2 chance of dropping 1 in 2 sturdy fossil. Well, actually they are pre-hard mode, but well, we'll let it slide. The dune splicer looks like it's straight out of a Calamity mod just because of the design. All of these next enemies are named after myths or fantastical creatures throughout history, which I found pretty cool. Some of these ones I mentioned earlier are as well, except for the antlion, which is actually a real thing. It's an insect. The lamia is an enemy that has 2 variants, one at night and one at day, different hair colors, and drops slightly different items depending on the night or day variation. Also in mythology, they are women with snake bodies that eat children. Yay. The ghoul is another enemy that is varied in the same way as the mummy, but is in the underground counterpart. They will also drop different variations as well, depending on whether they are of the hollow or one of the evils or normal. Anyways, that's about it for this video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you do, consider liking and subscribing, as it helps my channel. And if you dislike it, you know, because that's also feedback. Anyways, I got a Discord channel. Check it to meet some cool people. We're all pretty chill. I mean, like, we're like the world's most chill server. I have more ideas planned for the future. Keep an eye out for more content I post every week. Other than that, I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. And thank you for watching. See ya.